Almost everyone will have used PowerPoint for presentations at some point. And although it's very easy to use, it's equally easy to create something that actually works against a presenter achieving their objective. A few simple techniques can help to make your next presentation great. The reason most PowerPoint presentations fail is often down to a lack of understanding about how the presenter can meet his or her objective with the audience they're meeting. As a result, most presentations end up being a set of slides showing list after list of bullet points. Every really good presentation begins with an objective. The objective must be focused on what you want people to think, feel and do as a result of spending time in your company and listening to what you have to say. Perhaps you want them to change an attitude, adopt a new way of working or learn something. Whatever the reason, being clear before you start putting anything together means that you will be able to identify the core takeaways. There are 500 million registered PowerPoint users worldwide, and conservative estimates suggest that 30 million presentations are created every single day. But 99% of those presentations are going to fail. And there are several common reasons why a PowerPoint presentation might fail. Are any of these familiar to you? Too many slides in too short a time, long, boring slides that turn the audience off, too much text in too small a font, the presenter simply reading the slides, I know you can't read this but slides, too much information to take in, and it's got no clear outcomes or obvious purpose. Each of these results in an audience that cannot or will not engage with the presentation, meaning you won't achieve your overall objective. Broadly speaking, there are two types of PowerPoint presentation. The first is one facilitated by a presenter. It usually takes place in person, either in a room or remotely, and the PowerPoint slides are simply the supporting cast to the star, which is the presenter. The second type is designed to be viewed remotely, perhaps on a kiosk screen or online. They have very different objectives and audiences, which means they can't be combined within a single presentation. In the first facilitated presentation, the slides use minimal information because the context is provided by the presenter. Too much text means the audience will try to read the screen and listen at the same time, and the result is that they'll do both badly. In the second remote presentation, there is no presenter, and the slides need to show a complete message and will often result in a more text-based experience. And it's for these reasons that a presentation properly designed for one audience can never work for the other. If you ever find yourself in the situation of sharing your presentation after the event, then best practice dictates that you don't send the slides out. They're not going to make sense to the audience, even just 2 or 3 days later, because you aren't there to explain them. Instead, create a separate written document which gives a complete set of information and the context needed. If you want, you can include screenshots from the presentation to enhance their understanding. And if the presentation is to be shared online, you can create either a voiceover to accompany it, or a completely different set of slides designed specifically for the remote audience that is whole and complete. Understanding the combined effect of both audience type and purpose allows you to begin putting together a presentation that works to communicate both a clear message and meet your objective. There are 4 core rules for best practice when developing PowerPoint presentations, and they're easily remembered numerically: 1, 10, 20 and 30. 1 point per slide. Every slide should be focused on a single point, the one you want the audience to remember. You can emphasize the point by using graphics, images that link to text, or even formatting it in such a way as to leave the audience in no doubt about what's important. 10 points to take away per presentation. The human brain has limited short-term memory capacity, and the most you can hope people will remember is 10 key points, regardless of how long the session is. Understanding your objective helps to clarify what these might be, and it may also help to write down what the most important information is and why. This will help to weed out weaker and less relevant points that might cloud the issues and create a bloated presentation. 20 minutes for every hour. If you're given an hour's slot to make your presentation, it should last roughly 20 minutes by following the rule of thirds. Have you ever been in a situation where the presenter before you overran? You raced to finish all your slides, the technology failed, or you didn't have time to take questions? Creating a presentation that lasts roughly 1/3 of your allocated time means you can deal with technical failures, take account of timings, and answer questions. And it's important to remember, when we're in presentation mode and speaking to an audience of more than 1 or 2, our voice naturally slows down by about 1/3. This means that even if you practice in front of the mirror, you'll still speak more slowly in the room. 30-point font. The minimum size font on a PowerPoint slide should be 30-point. This is easily visible in any size of room, from an office to an auditorium. It also has the added benefit of reducing the number of words you can fit on a screen, forcing you to think more carefully about what you want to share. Let's all think about dumping the bullet point. To be frank, bullet points are boring in a facilitated presentation and are often used as a crutch by presenters. Remember, your audience will read them faster than you can speak them, and at the end of reading will mentally switch off. They may even try to pay attention to what you're saying at the same time as reading, but won't do either particularly well, meaning your message misses its mark completely. Remember the 1 point per slide rule? Just 6 slides with 5 bullet points each assumes the audience are capable of taking in more than 30 points, well beyond the more reasonable 10 per presentation. Your job as a presenter is to keep the audience engaged so they understand and act on the message you're sharing. Instead of bullet points, you can use simple techniques such as imagery, unfinished statements, bold text and smart art to create interest and add depth to your presentation. Each of these means the audience will fill in the blanks, interpret the image and draw conclusions, often subconsciously, and resulting in greater engagement with the presenter and the presentation. Finally, a good presentation needs strong, contrasting colours. Black on white or white on black works really well. But avoid yellow, as it doesn't render well in artificial light and bleaches out, and you're almost always going to be presenting indoors. And people who have red or green colour blindness may find that red and green highlighting problematic, especially if you're using these colours to create a differentiation or nuance in the presentation and the messages that you're sharing. So that's it, some very simple hints and tips about how you can make your next presentation really great.